It only made sense to start selling lettuce. Part 43 of sharing my story on here because it's so much easier than writing another book. So I'm working in this sports bar outside of Austin in Cedar Park, and it's a fairly sizable sports bar. Like, we have 15 pool tables, the gambling sweepstakes in the back, and all kinds of video games and that kind of stuff. Like, it's pretty big. We've got a full stage Friday, Saturday night. We're packed with a few hundred people. But because of where it is, it's a really diverse crowd of people. Like, you've got a lot of LGBTQ, you've got a lot of cowboys, you've got a lot of different people of color, and they're all in this bar together. And there were a lot of fights because it was just such a mix of people, but it was a really cool place to hang out. So when I started, there's tons of fights, and it was pretty crazy. And I was like, I need to figure out how to better help these people coexist and lighten the fuck up. And so that became my project, was okay, how are we going to learn to coexist and be happy? And it was going really well. But we also have this other problem where at home, my youngest son is sick and his medical expenses are really quite expensive. And he's the youngest of 5. So we've got a lot going on, and we're just trying to keep all the balls in the air. And I'm so burnt out. I don't even want to be working. I shouldn't be working. The roles should be reversed. And I'm really just pissed off about this. So I've got these 2 really busy lives happening, and our lettuce distributor was taken away. Our lettuce distributor was taken away, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to function. I don't know how any of this is going to be okay. And at the same time, there's this young man, and he's probably in his early mid-20s, and he's coming into the sweepstakes area with fat rolls of money. And I'm like, there is something interesting going on here. What's happening? What's up with you? And I'm real friendly and bubbly, obviously. And I was like, where are you from, dude? And he's like, Humboldt County. And I knew immediately, being from the West Coast, what that meant. And I'm like, oh, score. Okay, dude, let's talk. We end up exchanging numbers, getting to know each other a little bit. And I buy in, and I buy a half a case of heads of lettuce. And I'm like, that seems right, because I can just help my friends out and just do bigger amounts. So I'm only going to take a head of lettuce and I'll cut it in half, but I'm not going to cut it down anymore, because that's not my deal. I'm not here to be the chick from Weeds or trying to showboat anything. I'm just trying to pay my bills and pay my son's medical expenses. And so I have these standards around it, but Reed does not understand selling lettuce. He had been an actual strawberry farmer and carpenter type guy. He's never been about that life and didn't get it. And at the same time, he's really trying to impress our very redneck neighbors. And they're pretty rough, all the way around, because we're living out of town a little bit on some acreage. And he's just impressing them, and he's not following the standards that I have. And there had been this rift between us already where things just weren't going well. And I had realized that it had been a long time since he'd asked me a question deeper than how you doing? How you doing today? And that really bothered me. I would sit and listen to him for a long time, but he wouldn't sit and listen to me. He never even asked me any questions. He wasn't curious about me. And so I am starting to pull back. And after about a month of that with him, I made this decision that I just wasn't going to volunteer any information. I was going to go completely silent and just wait until see how long it took for him to recognize that I wasn't sharing my life with him, that I wasn't sharing any stories. And it made this really awkward thing for me, but not for him, because he seemed to be pretty freaking oblivious to the whole thing. And we're having like the best campfires because we live in an RV. We have this big fire pit and he builds a platform and we have a basketball court and we just have these amazing like bonfires and people are coming and hanging out and everything's cool. Like it feels like life on the outside seems to be going pretty well because now we're making enough money to comfortably support everything. And yet it's just like there's something not right. And I've got these guys at work, like people always swoon over me, but I've got a few guys that are like really my close friends. I just have these super high standards for myself and it's like I'm married. I'm just not that person, but I needed like protection in there and because the bar is crazy. And so it's like I had these really cool guy friends that respected me for what I was doing and how I was behaving. So I like had this like personal protection and they're awesome dudes. Like I'm really grateful for them because we had a great business agreement and it worked well. At one point, one of them had these amazing mushrooms, like, you know, they go with lettuce. And I was like, yeah, I really want to try those because like a year ago, I had been teaching in churches and now I'm like wearing fishnet stockings and like bartending, cocktail waitressing in this big ass bar and distributing lettuce. And I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, just give me those too. Let's see what happens. I was doing this amazing like internal work because if I'm not talking with Reed and I don't really have anyone to talk to and I'm keeping my circle really tight because of what I'm doing, I'm just like, I'm going to go inside and do some real deep inner work. And the mushrooms would be really beneficial for this. But first, Reed and I decided to try them together. And it was like this great plan. We had the whole evening set out. We were at home. Everybody was happy and everything was awesome. And he starts having the worst trip ever. And he is like falling in love with his first girlfriend and wanting to go see her. And I'm here also like out of my mind and having to like take care of him because he's falling apart like an emotional wreck. And because of where my mind was and the state of my mind, I was like, I just need to release him to her. And this trip was so pivotal in our relationship because it was like it just pulled us apart at the soul level. But with our responsibilities, we were still very much tied. And because he felt so much guilt and shame over it, even though he spent like the next 6 months researching her online and nothing ever came of it other than he talked about it all the fucking time until I was just like, no, I don't want to talk to you about anything anymore. I've learned a lot of boundaries with him because my God, he was just using me to like vomit all of his trauma on me over and over and over and over again and not actually dealing with the shit. But it sounded like he was because he's reading all the same books I'm reading and he's supposedly healing, but he's not actually getting into like who he is and he's not asking me any damn questions. And so over the course of a year and a half, I just start pulling back and like listening less, engaging less, just less, because I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. It hurts. And in the middle of this time, our son is better, but then he goes out and plays one day like he had been playing. He woke up the next day not being able to walk again. And so he's having now the second flare of this thing that we don't know what it is, but he's for the second time paralyzed. And it's like, oh my God, okay, we got to figure something out. And we go back to the doctors. It's much more intense this time because it's like, okay, now it's reoccurring and there's got to be some kind of patterns in this. And we end up finding this other doctor, and that's what'll come up next.